Listen to this episode if you want to know what it takes to build a household name of a product-based business. Today is a super special episode. Today is my 400th podcast episode, as well as we are celebrating 6 years in consulting product-based business owners. And today we're not talking about, the strategies. I knew that coming into it. I knew the strategies of how to help people get to this point. Today we are talking about what it takes with my clients that see the best results, my clients kind of seeing the behind the scenes of a bunch of different business owners. Today, we are talking about what are the things that happen behind the scenes that aren't always talked about in the outside, the things that you don't see from the outside of businesses. I have now seen the behind the scenes of hundreds of businesses over the last 6 years. I have seen their P&Ls. I have seen their marketing analytics. I have seen their sales analytics. I have helped them grow to that point. And today we are talking about the things that are often not talked about behind the scenes in product-based businesses. I knew the strategies coming into this. That's how I can consult and coach from the early stages. But after seeing the behind the scenes of many other businesses, I want to talk about the things that are often not spoken about, big or small, whatever their business is. This is what I want you to know that is happening behind the scenes. Some of it might be just to make you feel not alone. Other things might be things that you might not know that are actually happening behind some of the biggest household names in the world. So today we are celebrating, 6 years in business from my business, of this business at least, 400 plus episodes, 500 plus clients. We are talking about, household names to working with people that are pre-revenue, helping them become a startup and become a household name. I've lived on the road. We've lived a lot of lives in the last 6 years. Of course, I built my own business first to be able to teach these things, but we also have many takeaways after coaching dozens of hundreds of different people, and the ones that see the biggest success, the ones that struggle to see success, what really happens. So of course I could share so many things, but today there's variations in all of this. If I could tell you the few things that I want everybody to know that go on behind the scenes, that is what we are talking about today. The ones that hit the household name, the ones that are the category leaders, the one that see the best results, that is what we are talking about today. Whether you are just starting or whether you are building or whether you already are a household name, we are going to basically share the biggest takeaways today. This episode will absolutely be helpful for you. Before we dive into that, I just want to take a quick second to introduce myself. In case this is your first episode, my name is Madison Page. I am a business growth specialist, and I help you turn your small business into a brand so you can become that next household name that you really want to be. This is my 400th podcast episode. So if you are just now finding me, make sure you go back and subscribe and binge all of those other episodes. There is a lot of strategy to be discussed. We like to teach here in a fun conversational type of way. So we're not this stuffy business podcast. We are having some fun and we are chatting business and sharing the raw and the real of really what happened. So we put out new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. Make sure that you subscribe. Now, of course, after being in business for so long, I ran, if you don't know my story, if you are new here, I ran my family's business for a lot of years. I then went to college. I was also doing social media management. And then my social media management turned into the business that I have today. I have now been coaching / consulting for 6+ years. It kind of started as social media, consulting, coaching, and then it turned into more, consulting bigger businesses, being kind of a strategic advisor. And now I have a full-on consulting strategic advisory kind of business that I've had for about 6 years. I started in October of 2019. I have a video of me in college. I was a senior in college. It was literally Halloween night and I was publishing my website, which just shows how cool I was, is that I didn't even want to go out. This was what I wanted to do. This is what I was having fun. I graduated in December of 2019 from college with a business management and marketing degree, and I have been running my business full time ever since then. I started as a senior in college, and we're going to dive into the things that I want everybody to know that is running, that is starting, that is going to separate them to have a successful business. So first things first is your business depends on the founder to be successful. The founder being you. Something that I see a lot, and I have the privilege again of seeing the behind the scenes of many businesses, is I have had many founders come to me just completely transparently that have an incredible business idea. Their business idea, their product, their invention, whatever it might be, is incredible, but actually they are the roadblock. The founder is the roadblock as to which makes their business never actually grow. You know, you hear this a lot on Shark Tank or any of those other shows just like that, is that oftentimes they are partnering with the business owners that they see actually the biggest, growth in from the founder. Or you say like, hey, I love your product. You hear them say, I love your product, but I don't really think you have what it takes. This is exactly why, is because oftentimes founders are the bottleneck of your business. You often are the biggest roadblock. Now, that doesn't mean that who you are innately means that you can do it or that you can't. It means that you have to step up to the plate and become the person that can run the business that you really want. You can have the greatest idea, the best invention, but if your decisions, your actions, and who you are in building your business do not match what is needed, your business will fall flat and never actually reach that potential. So what this means for you is you have to know how to hire accordingly, step up to the plate personally, and realize where your roadblocks are coming into it, and being able to really step up to that plate and saying, okay, no, I'm doing this. Because again, I have so many people come to me and I can usually tell within the first either call or couple of calls whether or not this founder is going to have what it takes in order to really run a successful business or really be able to make the decisions that are there. Now, everything else that we're talking about below this is going to be talking about how to become this person, how to really become a person that can run a successful business. Because again, this isn't an innate thing. Like, I wasn't born with traits that were like, she's going to be successful as a business owner versus she is not. Granted, I was a person that ran businesses from a very young age, but it was because my dad was a business owner, my grandpa was a business owner, my uncle was a business owner, my parents, my mom became a business owner at 11. Like, I had a lot of it shown for me. And so I saw what it took. I saw the representation, which I was very grateful for. If you don't have that, you have to identify what it actually takes to become a business owner. You are often the biggest roadblock in your business, but the best part about that is you have complete control over you. So you either have to hire for your weaknesses, step up to the plate, and be able to get uncomfortable within this journey. Now, number 2 of what we're going to talk about goes in line with that number 1. This is business is the biggest personal growth journey you never knew that you really were going to go on. When you start in business, everything will come up at different stages. My mindset mentor says new level, new devil, basically meaning every time you level up, you are going to have new fears, new insecurities, new stories that you tell yourself that is going to try to hold you back. Our brains are wired to hold us in our safety net, in our safety zone, in our comfort zone, in where we are comfortable. And business is a constant flow of discomfort. Business is a constant flow of how can I push my boundary? How can I do the thing that I'm afraid of? How can I keep on pushing? How can I be more structured? Everything personally will come up. And I have seen this so many times in my business, and I see this with my clients a lot. I have clients that come to me that they go through a program and they're like, Maddie, I now know that I have all of the information in front of me. The only thing holding me back is my own mindset, is, not wanting to be seen, being worried about what my family's going to hear. What happens if this doesn't actually work out, if I go all in on it? And we start to bring up all of these stories within ourselves. Business is going to be the biggest personal growth endeavor you ever go on. It literally brings up every insecurity and fear and story that you have, and you will start to identify, I am my biggest roadblock. So what you have to be able to identify, and what I have seen over and over again with my clients, with the people that I work with, is that the people that are the most successful are the ones that are most committed to their own personal growth, to their own personal habits, to make them operate at their highest potential. Business owners that are successful know how to become a more effective person personally as well. This is going to help you in your personal life, but it is going to absolutely catapult you in your professional life as well. If you have fears that you don't even know are there, again, you are becoming your roadblock. So with the first one being your business is going to depend on the founder, what I'm saying there is that you need to identify that you need to step up and that you are in full control over your business. And then this second one is understanding that you have to continue to grow as a person. Like, personally, we have to be doing the internal work in order for our external to actually be better, in order for our business to be better. Not only will it make you a better person, not only will it make you happier, not only will it make you less anxious or overwhelmed, frustrated, all of those things, it's also going to allow your business to continue to grow because you won't be held back by your own stories and beliefs. And again, this is something I work with over the 6 years that I've been in this business, my family's business, all of the things. I have had to do therapy. I have had to do mindset work. I have had to do a lot of internal work and sticking to my habits and my routines in order to become the person that can hold the business that I have today. Constantly, every time I'm leveling up, I identify new stories that I'm telling myself that are holding me back. And if I didn't have good mindset people, good friends, good, support, good mentors, good colleagues in my corner, I would think that I was absolutely nuts of thinking all of these things. They're like, no, this is just your own, negative beliefs that you have that are popping up. You have to be able to either have people challenge your own beliefs that you're having. You have to be able to do the work to get there, and understanding that a major lesson that I see all of the time with my clients and with myself in business is that we are our roadblock. We are the lid of your business. My mentor says that all the time. She says, you are the lid of your business. Like if your business was a jar, you are the lid of it, and you can't overfill this jar. So what we need to do is we need to take the lid off and, get you in a bigger jar so we can keep on building. We can level up in that capacity. Next one is that the people that are the most successful act quickly, but they do it strategically. There's a good middle ground between complete messy action and over analyzing and overthinking. Some people act too quickly and then they have mistakes and things that were really easily fixed if they would have just taken a little bit more time. And then there's also the people that really obsess over too much perfectionism. You have to find this middle ground. And honestly, if you're watching on the video, I'm kind of using my hands as like a pendulum. If you're acting too slow, you are going to have other people pass you by. And if you act too quickly, you will have, mistakes that you didn't need to make. You won't be taking the amount of time that you need to be strategic and organized and well thought out. I would rather you be acting quickly, but taking enough time to at least be strategic. So we don't want to be like, okay, I'm going. But my clients that see the quickest results, the biggest results, and that see the most success over time are the ones that aren't over analyzing it, and they don't wait and they don't want to ruminate on these ideas. They are acting. A lot of times, literally by the time we are off of a call, they have already started to take action, whether or not they're doing it immediately on the call saying, hey, when I say, hey, look at this website, this is where I see your gaps, and they're immediately in there making their changes, or they're immediately reaching out to their team. By the end of the day, they are taking action. Yes, they know when they need to sit and be more strategic and look at the details of it, but they also know when they are over analyzing, and they do it anyway. I think a big piece here is understanding that done is oftentimes better than perfect. And we have to identify when we are over analyzing and we are sticking in perfectionism, or when we're, blaming perfectionism for just our own fears, and when we're actually just being sloppy. I would rather you be sloppy than be too much of a perfectionist that you never take action. But we do need to find this kind of, slightly middle ground and actually acting quick, but also be strategic and making sure that you do have those details there. Nobody is ready for anything. So acting quicker, you can't wait until you're ready. You have to act quick, act before you actually feel ready, because ready is a decision. You become ready. You don't find ready in everything. You can't just rush and do things willy-nilly, but you also can't ruminate on it. So you're never going to be fully ready for anything. Keep on going, keep on jumping from there. The next one is something that I have full podcast episodes out there on, and this is the art and the science of business. Something that I have increasingly found over my years in business is that you need to understand both the art and the science of business. The art meaning the aesthetics and the branding and the creative, and the science meaning the strategy and the organization and the numbers and the data. Those two things are both necessary. Without one, you are either all just going to be aesthetics and then nothing is actually going to be strategic, or if you are all strategic, you don't leave any room for emotion and fluff and creativity and things like that. These two things must blend. Most people are good at one or the other. Either you are the creative of your business or you are the strategic of your business, and you need to hire based in your weakness. If you look at every major business out there, there is one person that is the creative, and there is one person that is the strategy. Disney had this. Walt Disney was a creative, and I believe it was his brother came in and was the strategy. A lot of businesses, they have kind of like a CEO figure. They are the strategy, the business brain, and then the other one is the creative, and they're making the graphics and they're doing this. If you look at many business case studies of the most successful businesses early on in their endeavor, they had both of those. They had somebody that was managing the creative, somebody that was managing the strategy, or at least bringing that business brain into it, because you need a little bit of both, because oftentimes creative brains don't really see the number side and numbers brains don't really see the creative. We have to be able to balance these two. If you focus too much on one, you will lose. These two things have to even themselves out a little bit. You need both the art and the science. And honestly, being in business for 6 years, it is much easier to teach somebody the science than it is the art. So if you come in with the art side dialed, this is basically like if you come to me and you don't understand the branding side and your aesthetics aren't really there, you don't really have the artistic flair behind a brand, it's a lot harder to teach the art, because art is a little bit more of a muscle. Like if you go back and look at the graphics that I had when I started my business 6 years ago, you can go back on my Instagram and the graphics were terrible. My branding was terrible. It was because I wasn't this artistic person. I wasn't very creative. Now I feel like I can do a pretty good job with that kind of stuff because I have a lot of years of, building that muscle over time, but I have always been the strategy heavy person. Like my brain is numbers, it is data, it is strategy. I can't go out to dinner without like analyzing the business strategy behind the restaurant that I'm at. And so I have built the art over time, but the science is what I came in with. However, my clients that come to me with the art solidified, because it's hard to actually teach art, because that would be like you making a painting and me being like, well, that sucks. Make a better painting. And you're like, well, this is the best that I got. This is all that I have. This is my capacity of my art. Like I've been making things for my wedding and I am not an artist. All right. Like I'm watercoloring things and I'm like, this looks terrible, but it's fine. It's handmade and it's wholesome. Right. And so the art is a little bit more of a muscle. You have to be able to balance both of these things. So if you do not have it in you to want to build the muscle of art, we have to hire somebody to be your artistic flair and to be able to see those details. The next one is that nobody really knows what they're doing. And everyone has days that they want to tear it all down. I can't even tell you the amount of conversations that I have had with business owners that are like, Maddie, I think I'm throwing in the towel. I thought I lost my business last week. I think I'm done. Or, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm so frustrated. Nobody actually has it all put together. Not a single person. Even my businesses that are household names that you admire and that you look up to, a lot of them have no idea what they're doing behind the scenes. The more that I work with bigger businesses and smaller businesses across the entire spectrum, the more that I realize everybody is making it work. Nobody is fully ready for the decisions that they're making. Nobody knows exactly what their next steps are all of the time. Everybody is just taking an element of messy action, but understanding that they have to push their boundaries. Nobody knows what they're doing. And everybody has these days where I feel like Hannah Montana. Everybody has those days, but it really is the case. Business is not linear. It is hard. And everyone has days that they want to tear it down. Like no matter if I talk to a colleague of mine that's making $5 million a year, a client of mine that's making, $5 million a year, a client of mine that's making $5,000 a month, whatever that might be. No matter what stage of business you are at, you will have days that you don't always love your business constantly. You don't feel the best about it. You have periods of time where it feels like everything is crashing down. We've had a lot of tariffs this year. We've had a lot of, changes in these different directions. I've had these conversations with people across the board, and the people that are waiting to take action until they feel like they have it all together or that they are fully ready are the ones that are going to be left behind. If you are waiting to feel like you are fully ready to have this business or that you fully know what's going on or what those full next steps are, you're never actually going to get there. Because again, every time you level up, when you go from making $0 to $10,000 a month, there's a lot of growth that needs to happen in there and that you're going to learn something else. And then when you go from $10,000 a month to $100,000 a month, again, there's going to be a whole new growth of what you need to do. First, we're talking marketing and sales. Then we're talking team and finances and data and analytics. Like there's a lot to learn, and understanding that nobody knows exactly what they're doing doing is going to help you be like, all right, we're just going to keep on going, kind of going back to taking that quick action. Nobody knows what they're doing. And if you're waiting, you're going to be left behind, and understanding that you will have days, and everybody has days that they feel like they want to tear their business down or that they want to start fresh. The amount of times my fiance has heard me say that, I'll be like, all right, I think I'm restructuring. He literally says all the time, I'm like, all right, I'm restructuring this. I'm changing this around, or I'm restructuring my business. He's like, Maddie, it sounds like you literally are restructuring your business every 6 months. And I'm like, yeah, but it's minor things. In my mind, I'm totally changing everything, but nobody really else feels that. Or, I've said this to my mentor plenty of times. I'm like, holy cow. Like, I don't know where I'm going. And then, I get out of my luteal phase, and all of a sudden I'm having a great time again, and I'm loving my business. We all have ebbs and flows, especially as women. Like, our brains change literally day to day throughout the month, and you can't expect to love your business every single day, but give it a week before you make major changes. Give it 2 weeks, like really see it through before you start to make some major changes and you tear it all down, because odds are we just need a break. We just need a beach day. We just need, to reevaluate what's going on. If it starts to last a little bit more than, 2 to 3 weeks, we have to start looking at what does that really look like. Hey, I'm jumping in here for 30 quick seconds for those of you listening and thinking, all right, but how do I actually apply this to my business? Every week here, I share strategies, case studies, growth mistakes to avoid, but your business growth is nuanced. So your business support has to be nuanced as well. That's why all of my support includes me inside of your business, your ideas, your launches, your content, perfecting what you're already building and uncovering your hidden opportunities to scale. This isn't a cookie cutter course. It's a high level personalized support system to help you optimize your brand, your strategy, and every single person your business touches. If you want my eyes and my brain on your branding, your sales, your marketing, and your overall growth plan, click the link in the show notes to apply. Let's see what we can build together. The next one is that details build disruptive brands. This is one of the things that I say over and over again, is the extras, the little things, the things that other people aren't willing to do or invest in are going to be the things that sets you apart. The custom packaging, the good branding, the website, the extra special applicator of your product, like all of those little details is what builds disruption. If you are only doing what everybody else is doing, you're just going to stay middle of the pack. You're just going to stay right where they are. If you want to truly stand out, to disrupt, become the next category leader, you have to look at the details. You have to be able to do the things that other people aren't willing to do. If you look at some of these big brands, they're doing some like crazy stuff. They're doing some random things. Their car is wrapped in their business, or they do these weird pop-up events in New York City or these weird little towns in a bunch of different places. They're sending these PR packages that are absurd. Why they're doing that is because they're trying to separate. Everyone's over here, they're over here. People get to talk about it. And so those details and those little things, yes, it might feel like it's a lot of expenses going out, but we can't think about it as an expense. We have to think about it as an investment. Is this an actual investment? Is there opportunity for me to make money on that? And we can't be afraid of investing. You can't be afraid of making investments, because hopefully your investments are going to pay off and have an ROI. So I have a lot of clients that are afraid to send free products out to people. I have a lot of clients that don't even want to send free products out to get maybe a PR opportunity. My clients that are successful say, you know what? I know that there is a cost of doing business. There is a cost of growth. There is a cost of some of these things, and I will figure it out. We also have to understand that a lot of businesses aren't profitable for a few years. You can't expect to be in business for a year or, 6 months. I have clients that are like 10 weeks in and they're like, Maddie, why am I not making more profit? My sales are coming in. I need to start making more money. And it's like, yes, we do need to make more money, but we also have to understand that growth is going to have a cost to it, and that some of this visibility, whatever that might be, we can't get too hung up in these little things and in these little expenses that we aren't actually separating ourselves, that we aren't willing to take opportunities that we are being given. The next one is visibility is important, but not until you have systems and strategy. Over these last 6 years, and hundreds of businesses that I've worked with, I can't tell you how many people have come to me, whether they have gone viral and it went out to the wrong audience, or they have gone viral and now their business is absolutely crashing, or that they have built the foundation of their brand and then they go viral. And we look at the difference here. If you go viral too soon, if you get visibility too soon without actually having the strategy to back it, it actually can be the biggest detriment of your business, because nothing is more expensive than having your capacity capped right away, than having all of this visibility and you not being able to fulfill the orders well, quickly or any of that. Like, nothing is more expensive than disappointing the people that are coming to you. I would rather you have incremental growth and never actually ever go fully viral than you go viral overnight before your business is actually ready. Visibility is one of the most important things that you can have. We need mass numbers. If you can have mass numbers, at the end of the day, you'll be able to sell anything. I have clients that have 100,000 followers, and I know that no matter what we launch, she will sell something because we did it strategically. She has the community and she has the mass numbers to be able to do it. I also have clients that have 100,000 followers that built their following before they had a brand, before they had an ideal customer, before they had a marketing strategy. And now we actually have to start over because they've built the wrong audience. This audience was like the wrong people that came into it, whatever that might be. So visibility is important, but we are looking for visibility after you have the foundations of your brand really, really set. After we know your proof of concept of your website, that people move through your marketing and into your website really, really well. We have those conversion rates really set. The goal isn't virality right away. The quickest way to really lose revenue is to go viral too fast to the wrong people and then disappoint a bunch of people, because then they're like, screw this company, I'm never coming back. What we want to do is we want to get your foundations really set, get your marketing set where we know it's converting, get your website, your sales process is fully functioning, everything is there. And just so you know, some of my clients, we do this in just a couple of weeks, because when we help them, if they're pre-revenue, we set this all up from the very beginning. And then their whole goal is just, let's get visibility. Let's get scrappy and find a lot of visibility. And let's try to get you out to thousands of people. And then we can start to get some of this proof of concept. Once you have an element of proof of concept, once we see these conversion rates, once we see the data that people are coming to you, they're nurtured into your community and they're buying, then we can go viral or, do a big PR push, do a big audience surge. Virality and visibility is incredible. There's a lot of ways to get visibility that doesn't have anything to do with virality as well. But understanding it has to be done strategically and at the right time. It is not the only goal in everything that you have. The next one is don't believe what you see from the outside. When I say, again, I have seen many P&Ls of businesses that from the outside have a beautiful business. Their branding is great. Their marketing is great. They're selling out their launches. And then I look at their P&L and they're not making any money. They're actually losing money at the end of the day. I have a lot of businesses that look like they're beautiful and lovely from the outside, and the business owner absolutely hates their life and is really struggling to get by on a day-to-day basis. I have a lot of business owners that come to me and they say, this is the brand that I want to be. I look up to this brand and I have seen the behind the scenes of that brand. And I'm like, but you don't. You want to be your own person. You have to stay in your own lane. People fake it all of the time. People fake it constantly. This is how big time brands all of a sudden go bankrupt, is because you can't see from the outside what is actually happening from the inside. There's a lot that actually happens. And of course, I have the privilege of seeing the behind the scenes of a lot of these brands. Again, their marketing might be a total chaotic mess. Their team might be a total chaotic mess. I, again, have the privilege of talking to a lot of CMOs or, marketing managers, a lot of employees of some of these companies. And they're saying, I know we look like we have our stuff together, but we don't behind the scenes. It's a disaster. Now, I'm not saying that's how every business needs to be run or should be run, but understanding that the people that you're looking up to might not have everything put together. So you'd be better off putting your own blinders on, saying, what is my vision for my brand and how can I really look at it? How can I really, move forward in this process? You would be better off saying, I don't want to look at anybody for inspiration. I am finding inspiration within myself, within my own vision, and moving forward. That's another one that I could add into this is vision. You must have a vision of where you want your business to go and what you want it to be and what's the impact that you want to make. Otherwise, you won't have the motivation, the inspiration, or really the actions of what to take moving forward. I want to add that to this list. If you don't have a long-term vision or a long-term impact or a long-term goal within your business, it's going to be hard to keep showing up because you're really just showing up to make money. And money alone is never going to be the thing that keeps you going. That is something that I could add to this list all day, every day. I am big on money, right? I think it's great to have money. I love when people have money because I think it makes better in this world when good people have money. However, money alone is not going to keep you going because it gets to a point where you don't need more money. You just have money and then you just get more money as your business grows. If you aren't looking somewhere for a vision, for an impact, for a bigger purpose, for a meaning, a message behind this brand, you will burn out and you'll be like, what's the point? I have money. I don't need more financial freedom. I've reached financial freedom. Wonderful. I love it. I have a lot of businesses that, again, the founder is making multi-six figures and they're like, I have everything that I need. My life is unfulfilling and I don't really know if I want to keep doing this business, but this is how I'm making my money to keep on going. And we have to restructure with looking at the long-term vision here. What is your long-term vision? What is the impact you're trying to make? Why? What is your why behind your brand? You must always recenter back into your why. Funny enough, the next thing on this list is that profit is king. Money is king in your business. If you don't have profit, you don't have a business, you have a hobby. You need to make all of your decisions with profit in mind. Again, I have people come to me all of the time that their pricing, they're literally losing money. I had a call this week with a client that we looked at her profit margins and she was actually losing 250% on some of the products that she had on her website. She had no idea because she had never looked at what her pricing cost her and what she had it listed for. I have clients all the time that find that they're losing money on every wholesale order and they were told to just go and try to sell wholesale, but they were actually losing money on all of it because their profit margin wasn't 50%. Even at the end of the day, you can have your profit margins just fine, but if your expenses are too high and you have no profit on your overall P&L at the end of the year, it doesn't matter. I would rather you have a $100,000 a year business that makes $80,000 of profit than you have $1 million a year business that makes $80,000 a year in profit, because that extra $920,000 of sales that you're doing is complication, it's stress, it's all of these other things that it doesn't actually make sense. What we want you to do is to understand profit in your business and to be able to have a structure here. Without profit, really nothing else matters because you really do have a hobby of sorts. You're just building busy work at that point if we are building a business that has $1 million a year and is making $80,000 in profit. That's just a spitball number, right? That's not like an actual metric that I would be concerned about. But what we're looking at here is that if you don't have profit, you have a hobby and not a business. We have to work on building profit. Another side of this coin is that it does take time for your business to be profitable, right? So again, there's nuances to this at different points of your business. If you've been in business for 10 weeks, yeah, your business probably isn't going to be profitable right away. And I think that too many people talk about this without the other side of it. I believe this statistic is, don't quote me on this, I believe it takes on average 2 to 3 years for a product-based business to actually be profitable. It's something like that. And that is because a lot of times in the building phase, you have to be okay having more expenses and understanding that you are probably putting more money out, but we have to have your business built on a scalable foundation, on a profitable foundation. So when, that grittiness of all the details and things like that go out and like when it works, then everything is actually profitable. And when those expenses kind of go down after those first couple of years, then you're like, oh, okay, this is profitable and we're making it work. But without profit, nothing really matters. And so if you are building right now and you have a $5 million business and you have a very low 4% net profit at the end of the year, we have to figure that out because you're building on a cracked foundation and it's going to be really hard to be successful long term. The next one, and this is the last one on my list, and then we're going to do a good little wrap up here of some of the major things. The next one is that direct-to-consumer sales should always be your goal. After many years in business, I have changed my tune on this. At first, I was like, any sales are great sales. And then I was like, okay, wholesale is great because you get big orders. Let's try for that. Let's put a focus there. But after 6 years, dozens of different industries, hundreds of different businesses, I have decided that direct to consumer is the way to go. I've always helped people build direct to consumer, but it was kind of like, hey, how can we make sales? Where does sales really matter? Direct to consumer sales have the highest profit, have the highest return customer rate, have the highest buy-in, have the higher average order value. They have the highest everything that you could possibly want in business. If you can get people to buy directly from you on your own website, we're not talking Etsy here. I'm not talking markets. I am talking people going through your social media, or I guess just buying through your own website. You having your own website, people buying through it. It doesn't even have to do with social media because this can be built through SEO. This can be built through PR. This can be built through social media, yes. But if we can build direct to consumer, more often they're coming back to you. Because if you buy on Amazon, you're competing with other brands alongside of them. So like even on Etsy, I have bought dozens of products on Etsy for my wedding that's coming up. And I literally couldn't tell you a single brand name on any of them. And I will never buy from that brand again because I don't know, unless I go back in my orders and I find it that way. But I don't have any buy-in to that business. But if I buy directly from you, I know the brand. I get your packaging, I get your info, and I know exactly who I'm buying from. Same with Amazon, same with wholesale in a store. Like I might go to Ulta or Sephora or something like that. It's good to get into major retailers. Don't get me wrong. But first, we have to build direct to consumer. And even so, a lot of times, people getting into major retailers is more of a visibility play. You see these people that are like, oh, I'm in Target. They're not using Target as their major way to grow their business for a little while because it's a lot of money. They get 50% of your product every time. So if you have a 35% profit margin, you're only making 15% profit on that. So a lot of times people use that as an authority builder, as a visibility play, and hoping that people are coming back. You're not really using that, at a certain point in like a CPG, consumer packaged goods, when you're food or beverage. Yes, wholesale really does propel you forward, but you have to be able to build these direct to consumer sales first. They should always be the goal. Honestly, if you're under 5 to 10 million a year, I would say direct to consumer is your major focus. And even above that, you will increasingly see these brands trying to get you to buy through their website. Even $100 million companies buy through our website and you get certain things off. Why they're doing that is because they make more profit on it than you going to Sephora and buying, your makeup from Sephora. They make 50% more on that product. All right. So we have to be able to build that. They come back to you, you get the full profit, you have full control over when they make sales. So your own sales funnel is going to be so important. And of course, there's nuances to that. But if I'm going to be like open and honest, I would rather you build direct to consumer over anything else. So again, I have been in business now 6 years. I've helped hundreds of business owners. And if I could really leave you with a major takeaway here is understanding that you are the most important project you ever work on in business. As a business owner, the founder has the full control over everything until you lose control, until you lose the majority stake. But you have the control over how quickly your business grows, how you feel about your business, how your business is operated, the opportunities that you take, the people that you hire, and the stories that you believe, that you are telling yourself and that you are choosing to believe. And if you never put a stop to those stories, they will control your business. So you need to take control of your business and your mind and, all of your fears and your insecurities before your business just kind of runs the world. In business, I see this all the time. And this is honestly something that I feel very privileged to be able to see and to say. And it's something that I struggle with as well. To be totally transparent is that I can tell a lot of times I can give you as much information as possible. You could listen to all 400 podcast episodes, but if you don't implement, if you're afraid, if you're telling yourself you don't want to be seen, if you are afraid of success, if you're afraid of failure, whatever that might be for you, you are actually holding yourself back. And I say this to my clients a lot. This is why I do mindset work personally and in my programs. Why we do mindset work is because oftentimes us as the founder is a roadblock. Us as a founder is the reason that we cannot scale. So if you learn anything from this episode, if you take anything away from this episode, learn that you are the greatest project you will ever work on. You are the only person you have complete control over. You are oftentimes the roadblock of your business. And I see that all of the time. Now, there are so many strategic things, but I could give you all of the strategy in the world. And if you don't take action on it because you have this insecurity, then you are the reason that your business isn't growing. Or that if you're telling yourself, okay, well, I don't want to show my face on social media. Not every business has to do that. Just an example. But I don't want to show my face on social media, so I'm just not going to. You are the lid. You're that story that you're telling yourself, that insecurity that you're telling yourself is what is holding you back if that is your superpower. We have to really look at this from that capacity, is understanding that you are the big superpower in your business. The actions that you take, the habits that you have, the fears you're willing to push, the boundaries you're willing to push. If you listen to any successful person, they will tell you, you need to keep working on yourself. You need to be dialed as yourself. And I used to be offended when I would hear that because I'd be like, I can do this the way that I am right now. Wrong. I was so wrong. I needed to grow and become the next version of myself, a better version of myself. There's no negative to being a better version of yourself, turns out. Even though I was offended when people would say this, because I was like, no, I'm fine the way that I am. Like, yes, I am fine the way that I am, but also, right? And I could be better. I could be more regulated. I could be more structured. I could be more present. I could be better in this way and that way and scroll less and all of these other things. Constantly trying to identify how can we do our own personal growth. And if you want to hear what my personal growth journey looks like in business and how do I consistently kind of push these boundaries, please let me know. I would love to share that with you. I just want to say thank you. I know some of you guys have listened to all 400 episodes of me. That is a crazy number in my mind. We have spent 400 hours together. That is over 16 days that we have spent together. You know, on average, my podcast episodes sometimes can be an hour, sometimes can be 30 minutes, but we have spent 2 weeks together. If you have listened to every episode, thank you so much for being here. It is such a joy to do what I do. I do love my business. I love working with you. I love supporting you. I love chatting with you all day, every day here. I love being a part of your morning commutes, of your walks, of your making of your product, of whatever it is when you're doing your dishes. Whenever you listen to this podcast, I am so grateful to have you here. Just the warmest thank you. And I hope that you stick around. We have a lot to come. And we've made this podcast a top 2% podcast globally in the last 5 years of this podcast, the 400 episodes that we have. Thank you so much for being here. When I say I love you, I'm rooting for you, and I'm in your corner always. I truly, truly mean it. Thank you for being here. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next episode. If you found today's episode helpful and are looking for more tangible ways to grow your business, make sure you are subscribed to the show. If you want to dive deeper into this topic more, click the link in the show notes and join our completely free podcast community where we dive into every single podcast topic, as well as give some bonus support and free coaching calls. And finally, if you are interested in getting my eyes on your business to find your hidden opportunities to scale, apply to work with me one-on-one in the show notes or on our website. Remember, it's not enough to listen. Don't forget to implement too. I love ya. I'll see you in the next episode.